everybody, it's me, Cassie. I am just here to show you some fun stuff. We're going to talk about gnomes. We're going to talk about turning a one page into a 2-page and make it happen. And we're going to play around with how to make the gnomes have fun little features. So lots of fun stuff to go over tonight. So let's just go ahead and dive in and get started. Okay, over to my desktop. I'm going to get rid of this banner. And here we go. Okay, so let's just talk about this sketch. Now, hopefully you were all at the virtual crop last weekend, which was a lot of fun. I managed to get all 4 done, and that's always my goal because if I can get all those pages done, then I feel like a rock star. So I hope you all feel like rock stars too. And I wanted to just go over, there's little sketchbooks that hopefully your advisor is getting for you. I always have them out at my crops so that people can pick them up if they would like. And I just love them. So this is the latest one. And we are going to talk a little bit about what to do whenever it's just a 1-page spread, how to split it into 2, and how to vary it up so that you're happy with it. And we're also going to do gnomes while we're at it. So this was a 1-page spread, and it's been fun how they've been doing this. They have beginner, intermediate, advanced, but honestly, a sketch is just meant to be able to be taken and made into what you want it to be. So never feel like you have to do exactly what they did. For instance, if you look, they did 4 1-inch stripes, and I did 3, and I matted my stripes. And then they put an extra border down here, but I did not. And then I moved the border from the top down to the bottom. So I did quite a few little tweaks to it. Hey, Karen, how are you? I did quite a few little tweaks to my layout to make it what I wanted, and I'm happy with it. So we're going to talk about, okay, so now the 1-page spread is done, and I need the other side, right? Oh, the other thing I did, I thought this was fun. It used 2 horizontal pictures and 1 vertical picture. But I wanted to use some smaller pictures, so I just cut these down to give myself the 1/8 of an inch in between, and I used 2 pictures, and I matted them so that it kind of has the look of doing these 3 pictures like this in this layout format, but I expanded it into 4. So they're just fun little things that you can do to tweak things and make them your own. Okay, so let's get started. I have my 3 pictures that I'm going to put on the page, and I have this layout. So we're going to just quickly whip out 4 1-inch by 12-inch strips. So that would be what these are right here. So we're just going to take and we're going to do 1, 2, 3. So tonight was my square dance night. So we square danced, and now I am home scrapbooking. So I get to do all of my favorite things in the same night. So that's super fun. Okay, so there we go. 4 of these strips. And now I'm going to need to cut these. So as you notice, these are matted. So they're going to have a little, oh, that's not the one I want to cut. They're going to have a little bit of a different look. So they are going to be 3/4 of an inch. And I'll show you what I'm going to do with them next. So there's 3/4. And then I'm actually going to need 3 of this one because I need 2 candy canes. And then this is on the other side. And what's fun about that is I can choose the one where the words are cut the way I want them to be. And you'll see what I mean in just a second. So 3 of these 3/4 inch stripes. And now I have my stack of 4 of them. Now let's take a look and see where my words bring me the most joy. And funny I should say that because I think I might do this. I mean, you know what? I'm going to go with Noel and Happy Holidays. I think that came out the nicest. So that's going to be my my one that is going to be on this side, and the other ones are going to be candy cane side. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to stack all 4 of these because I just need to do a little tiny cut. I'm just going to make sure they're stacked nicely. Might be trying to stack too many on camera. You know what? I'm just going to cut them quick. Once I get on camera, my hands get a little wobbly. I know that's silly, but they do. Okay, so I'm going to bring this over to 11 3/4, and it's cutting a 1/4 inch off this side, but I always go ahead and cut to the length I actually want. And the reason I do that is because paper is allowed to have a small variance. And just in case the variance is a little bit off on this one, it's nice to cut it to the actual size that you want instead of taking 12 minus 1/4 is 11 3/4. I hope that made sense and I didn't confuse anybody. I know sometimes I start talking numbers and you guys are like, Cassie, you're mathing. Okay, so there we go. And then I just need to mat them on here. So the reason we cut that little 1/4 inch off is because we are matting all the way around our paper. And it's super cute and super fun. So let's just go ahead and tape these down so we don't lose them. I have a tendency to misplace little strips of paper, as I think probably most of the people out there do. Karen, do you misplace paper whenever you cut it and you don't put it down right away? That tends to be my issue. So I'm just going to tape these all down. Super simple. And we'll get on to the fun stuff in just a second, because the gnomes are the fun stuff. All the time. Yes, all the time. Oh my goodness. Okay. That lined up. And last but not least, our Noel. Okay. So these are all on here. And now we're just going to do the exact opposite of what we have on this side. So we're going to take and we're going to put our candy canes up here towards the edge. We're going to leave that little 1/8 of an inch there. I left an 1/8 of an inch between everything that I did. It makes it look, a little more matted, a little more classy. So we're going to take, and then we're going to have our stripes all the way to the outside. And this is the Christmas cheer that I'm working with. Oh my goodness. I love it so much. I worked with it all weekend doing the virtual crop, and I just absolutely love it. Okay. And there we have it. Now we are going to move on to the gnomes. So these, you love the gnomes too. Yes, the gnomes are the best. Okay, so now we're just going to take and we're going to, where did I put my gnomes? Oh, I put them over here. I was playing. Okay, and we're going to cut our gnomes. So I cut my gnomes out of this cute green paper from the Christmas cheer. And if you have not used this before, remember that the cutting always occurs between these two black lines. So you just pick a direction. I always go that way, but you could go that way. And I'm going to line it up with the little black line on the right-hand side. And you always want to make sure that you have it lined up against the top over here and against the blue over here, and press firmly down. And you just keep going. Some of them have a repeating pattern that's really hard to tell where it ends. So if you are working with a repeating pattern, then there is always a little triangle on there that tells you where to keep going. So never fear, Creative Memories does think of everything. Okay, that's one. Okay, so now we have these cute gnomes. And we are going to cut the gnomes at 1 3/8 of an inch. 1 3/8 of an inch. And then we need something to mount them on. So we're going to do 1.5 inches out of here. And this is also from the Christmas cheer. All of this is Christmas cheer, or else the dark green cardstock. So, and whenever you're measuring smaller pieces, it works nice to measure to the right, so it's completely on the tray. It just makes it easier to cut with. Now I'm going to move this and use my silicone mat because I'm going to take these gnomes and I am going to put tape, repositionable tape. Don't use regular tape if you try to do this because you'll have little white stuff coming through all of those little holes. So make sure that whenever you're taping something down with lots of little holes in it, that you're using the repositionable, and a silicone mat is super helpful for taping that down. So now we've got these gnomes, and I can't remember how far up I put them on this one. So let me just measure real quick. So here we go. It looks like 5/8 of an inch up. So I'm just going to do the same thing over here. And they go across. And now I am going to quickly do magic mats for matting our pictures. And this is super simple. We're going to just go over these numbers real quick. So anytime you want to mat, if you want to cut 4 5x7 mats out of this, you can do that by cutting the 5 in one direction and 7 in another, because it's 12 by 12. I want to cut 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. So I need to cut my paper down first. So 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 means that I'm going to need 10.5 by 10.5. And I know that because 4 1/4 plus 6 1/4 equals 10.5. So if I didn't have a little cheat thingy on my trimmer, I would still know it just by adding the two numbers together. So you can always find exactly what you need if you know the secret formula. Kind of like in algebra back in school where if you knew the formula, you could get to the answer. So now we're going to take and we're going to make 4 mats out of this, which should be impossible because it should come to too large to do it, but it doesn't, because look, are you ready? 4 1/4. We're going to bring the front of this down to 7 1/4 because that means the cut line is at 6 1/4, and then we just cut up. So we rotate, we measure over to 4 1/4. We bring the front of the blade down to 7 1/4. That puts our cut line right here at 6 1/4, and we cut up. And we only have to do that 2 times because after we do it the second time, there's nothing left below it. So we can just freely cut very quickly. And we end up with 4 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 mats and a 1 inch square. So it is truly, truly wonderful and magical. Okay, so let's bring this back over. We're going to throw our pictures on here real quick and then go over how to do these gnomes. So let's see. I need baby girl to be right here. Take her down. And the nice thing about working on mats is that you can do your measuring just by eyeballing it real quick because the measurements are right there. Yes, Gina, magic. I love it. I love it. Okay. And so then my last one. And now we can tape these down. And I use repositionable tape for pretty much everything I do these days. I used to use it just for the laser stuff, but now, especially whenever I do things on camera, look, I put this over a little bit too far. Not a big deal. It just slides on over. And so I could fix all those little things that I might want to adjust as I'm doing my pages. and it just makes my life easier. Okay, so now let's talk about how to make these gnomes even cuter. They're already pretty stinking cute, right? So I'm going to grab this for punching on too. Now, if you got the gnome package, you know that cute little embellishments came that you can add things onto your gnomes. But now let's just pretend like you used up that pack and you're like, I need more gnome pieces. You know that's going to happen, right? So to get more gnome pieces in other colors that you can add in, all you have to do is put your paper in, and you can use scraps because you're not making a whole border. And here's the important part you're going to want to know. When you cut it, you should go ahead and you should leave it in its little trio. It will just make it easier for you to find the piece. Okay, so now let's say you want to put these stripes on one of the gnomes. Let's say this one. I always put the repositionable tape right on there. This is a lifter stick. If you did not get one of these while they were out, don't worry. I am quite positive they are coming back because we are going to need them for all of these cute little things we've been coming out with, right? Our little build-a-punches, our build-an-ornament, our build-an-owl. Now we're building gnomes, and I can't imagine that our company would leave us without. So here we go. We're going to do that, and I just rub the tape off. I always put it right onto what I'm taping it down to because, quite frankly, I do not have the time or the patience to figure out to put the tape on those little things and flip it over and then flip it back, and that's just too much for me. Okay, so the reason I told you to keep it in your little trios is because now to figure out which beard goes where, it's going to be the first one because this was the first one in the trio. So any first gnome will do in the little trio. That's a first gnome, a first gnome, a first gnome. If I had not kept it in my little trio, I would have been standing here trying to figure out where the beard went. And the reason I know that, everything I know is always through trial and error. I was playing around with it, and I went to go put the little pieces in and realized that, oh, goodness gracious, I needed to figure out which beard went where and that there had to be an easier way. And, of course, there's an easier way. There's always an easier way. So there you go. So there you go. You put those down, and then I can just pick another scrap paper. And what's great about this is that, you know, it can just be little tiny pieces. So if I want to do some beards, I'm going to put this down towards the bottom. And I'm going to punch out some beards, right? If I had wanted to do hats, I could have put it closer to the top and I could have cut out some hats. Okay, so I'm going to grab my second beard, because this is the second gnome. And I'm going to grab my I'm going to grab my first one right here. This is the first gnome. Wiggled that into the wrong spot, so thank goodness we also have other great tools for whenever you need to lift something and push it back down. So I'm going to wiggle that into its right spot. And then I'll put this last little beard down, and I want that one to go right here. Helps if you use the right end. And voila. So I could play all day. I could do all different colors. I could fill in all these stars. I could fill in all of these stripes and dots if I wanted to, and I could make all of the cuteness come out. So that's it. That's all you do to do your gnome. I'm going to add a few stickers up here in this upper corner. Let me just go ahead and do that right now. Because quite frankly, I'm just going to be totally honest with you. I will probably not add anything else to these gnomes. Look, I added a little bit to it, but I'm not the type of person that's going to spend all day figuring out where I want the gnomes to be. That's just not my personality. I mean, filling up every little spot. Some people will, and that's fun too. Nothing wrong with it. It's just not what I would have to be in the mood to sit and do that. I might do it at a crop when I'm hanging out with other people. That would be super fun to sit and do all of those. But so maybe I'll fill that up.